Hello, Common Sense student. Today I'm going to be talking to you about qualifying friendships. How do we choose those persons who are going to be our potential friends? And I decided to look at it from the perspective of a company, applying for a job at a company or a business. Whenever you apply for a job at any of these institutions, they would do an examination of your qualifications. They would look at your educational background. They would also look at your professional experience. And they would further examine your criminal history. They would do a background check just to make sure you don't have anything in your criminal past or past that might affect them negatively. Now, you would also do a formal interview in most instances. And the company does all of these checks, goes through all of these procedures just to make sure they're hiring the right person. But how do we know if the people who are present friends, current friends, are persons who are going to be our friends, are the right people that we want to bring in our lives? How do we know who qualifies to be our friends? I'm telling you the truth, for years I didn't know. I never even knew that I needed to be looking for anything, and I never knew what to look for. Whereas a company has sophisticated procedures and systems in place to vet potential applicants, we don't have those resources, means, or procedures in place to vet potential friends. Now, what we're left to do is to come up with our own terms, conditions, or procedures, or the lack thereof. Most times we just hope. We just hope that these persons can meet our expectations. We make all kind of unrealistic assumptions. And therefore, in most instances, this is why what we want and need we don't get, and our expectations are not met. Now, what I've found is that we fall into the common trap of having friends based on, some criteria that we have not properly analyzed. So we find friends based on a location. And nothing is wrong with that. I'm just saying that things need to be much deeper. We need deeper analysis of how we want to qualify people to be our friends. So let me get back on track. So we find people based on a location. So we either meet our friends at the church, at work, at the gym, etc. Or it's based on our history, whether or not we grew up in the same neighborhood with these individuals, or we have some other sort of childhood connection, or it can simply be because we have similar habits or hobbies. Now, if we don't have any qualification process in place, we won't even know what type of friends we're looking for and what our expectations should be of these individuals who we want to be our friends. What qualities we would want these persons to possess. And this is why leaving things to chance always get us hurt. We're always being disappointed because first thing we'll have to do if we want to qualify persons or finding the right persons to be our friends is we have to define to ourselves the type of qualities we would want in a friend. So we get number one, the type of friend we want, and then we move on to the qualities such as loyalty. You want somebody that is so loyal that they will even defend you in your absence. You want someone that will see the real you, even when other people might misunderstand you or misinterpret you, but this person knows who you really are. You want somebody who has integrity. You want somebody, and integrity in terms of their actions match their words. They are not someone who is duplicitous. Someone who has more than one faces, someone who pretends, and someone who treats everyone differently. So they might treat you a particular way for now, and then they treat other people a particular way. You want someone that treat everyone by the same standard, and this makes them, predictable. This is integrity. You want someone also who will be happy for your successes, someone who will celebrate you, someone who will revere you, and most importantly, you want somebody who will respect you, someone who will appreciate you, someone who will care for you. Now, when we don't have these qualities in our minds lined up, we get disappointed. We are hurt. We are betrayed. Persons who we consider to be our friends are oftentimes, in these instances, jealous of our successes instead of being happy for us. Because these persons are the wrong people to begin with. Now, here are some conditions you can consider, and things that I've also applied to my own life. Now, think about this. If you're going to apply for a job at an organization, a company, like I mentioned earlier, you would go through a procedure which includes a formal interview. Now, I don't think it is practical in every instance. I'm not saying that it has to be exactly like that. In terms of discussing with the person that is supposed to be your friends, your expectations, what you're looking for. I think that I would have saved myself a lot of trouble if I just had that initial first discussion and I could make sure that our expectations with whoever it is that I wanted to be my friend, they were aligned. Also, you must make sure that this person has good values. You must make sure that, in terms of having a good character, this person is trustworthy, they're respectful. Next, be very observant. Watch how they treat people in general, because we don't live our life in compartments. This is how eventually they're going to treat you, especially if you eventually offend them unknowingly. And there is also other conditions you can consider. You should make sure this person and you and your friends. I'm hoping that you're having good friends. That these persons are moving in the same direction you're moving, the same life direction, and this means moving forward. Because if you are moving forward and someone else, your friend, is stagnant or is moving backward, not making advancements with their life. They are always making bad choices and getting in trouble. And, this person and your universe, your lives don't align. And it's going to be a problem. Eventually, if you don't find somebody that thinks like you in this respect, if this is something that you're passionate about. And I think also that whenever we compromise in these areas, whenever we don't think about these qualities in depth, it always ends in relationship failures. So let me tell you a quick story. I had a friend many years ago, and he came from an upper middle class family. He was one of three children. He was actually a middle child. And his parents always had marital problems, and they would always use him as a means of venting, which was so unfair to him. He endured a lot of emotional abuse. He grew up to be a very extroverted person, but beneath that, there was an undercurrent. He was always so insecure of what other people thought about him. And he always wanted everyone to like him. So he had a lot of situational friendships. People that he knew from school, church, or work. But these persons were not really his friends. Eventually, when I met him, although I never knew him for as long as all those other persons, he was acquainted with, he and I would sit and talk about deep emotional things. And, we would talk about his relationship with his parents, all the things that he went through and the hurt he suffered. We even talk about problems that he would be having with his girlfriend or an ex-girlfriend. We would have very deep synergistic conversations. But whenever I needed someone to talk to, whenever I needed him to listen to something that was bothering me or was of concern, he never had the time. I always noticed an annoyed look on his face whenever it is that I start talking about anything that concerned me. I spoke to him about it and he kept doing it. So eventually I had to get rid of him out of my life. Although at that time I wasn't as mature as I am now, but I was well aware that this guy never qualified to be my friend. So the most important thing you are going to need to understand is that in order to find this person that you are looking for to be your friend, just like that example I gave you of this past friend that never qualified to be my friend, I think I was also at fault, because what I've learned also is although I never had as much issues as he had, I was also at a place in my life where I never engendered the qualities that I was ultimately looking for. You have to be who you want to attract. Because I was also going through my own emotional turmoils. I was very dysfunctional. I lacked the knowledge, the expertise in how to find good friends. I had so much work to do on myself. And therefore, I would only find people that were at my level, or most times it is worse. So if you are, for example, a 5 or a 6, as it pertains to your emotional development, you're not going to find people at that level. Most times you're going to find people worse than yourself. And I kept attracting friends like those people who just never valued me as an individual, and I suffered immensely for it. So become the friend that you want to attract. So if you want loyal friends, be loyal. If you want people who are trustworthy, be trustworthy. Because you can't ask for what you don't qualify for. It never works out. Because even if you meet quality people, you will not be able to keep them in your life. So that's my thought for today. You can never cover everything in one video. But so far, this is what I've got. And I hope you would have learned something from it. And I look forward to seeing you again on my next video. Please have a wonderful day.